The following is an Indie HVRP presentation. Welcome to another episode of Explaining Criminal Convictions. Or Not, the program that challenges you to a critical test. Today, you are the employer. Your task is to pick the best applicant for employment. The challenge is that each of the applicants you will interview has a criminal record. Which of the following applicants will you favor? And why? We're going to meet 7 candidates. Douglas Sloan, Melanie Polanski, Benita Washington, Ricardo Salado, Brian Ross, Jennifer Conley, and Rita Bell. And we're going to ask each of these candidates about his or her criminal history. Then we're going to vote. We're going to vote for the best candidate. And here are the rules. 1. You must hire only one candidate. 2. You must base your decision solely on how well each addresses his or her convictions. So let's meet our first candidate, Mr. Douglas Sloan. Your record shows some convictions, Mr. Sloan. Would you explain what happened?
Of course. At the time of my arrest, I had been out for the evening with a cousin and one of his friends. I was in the back seat and had fallen asleep. My 2 friends were up front. They stopped at a Quick Mart and left the car running. But I didn't notice. I remained asleep. When they came back, both of them jumped into the car with enough force to wake me up. I asked what was going on, but neither answered. We just pulled away at high speed. Once we were on the street, my cousin turned to me and said we needed some party money, so we made a withdrawal. I thought he had gotten money from an ATM with his bank card. I didn't know that they had robbed the Quick Mart. In about 15 minutes, a police car appeared behind us with his siren on. I thought he was on a call, and he was. He was after us. Another police car in front of us had put out spikes that damaged our tires. When we came to a stop, we were ordered out of the car. I tried to explain that I didn't know anything about the robbery, that I had been asleep. But no one would listen, not even the public defender I was assigned. And my cousin wouldn't tell the truth. So I was railroaded into a conviction for armed robbery. I am innocent, but had to do the time anyway. Now I am out and need a job.
I appreciate that you are successfully going through a work release program. But given your background, why should I hire you?
Well, first of all, I shouldn't be in this get out of prison program at all. I'm not even guilty. I didn't do anything wrong. What happened was, my friend Jackie asked me to cash a check for her. She signed it and told me that she needed to get the money but didn't have time to go to the bank. I was just doing a favor. I didn't know the check was stolen. I was arrested outside the bank, and I tried to explain, but the police wouldn't even listen. Jackie denied everything. Some friend she turned out to be, so I was arrested and convicted for fraud. But at least Jackie didn't get away with it either. They arrested her too. At least one of us belonged in jail. I didn't even get the $50 she promised me for doing the favor. You try and help a friend and look what happens. I won't do anything like that ever again. You can take that to the bank.
As you know, having a conviction will not disqualify you from consideration, but we do need an explanation for your police record. Could you elaborate?
I'm not going to lie. I'm guilty. I wrote some checks that my bank account couldn't cover, but I needed the money. I'm a single mother, and I needed things for my kids. I couldn't let them do without. I thought I could get a friend to help me cover the checks before there was a problem, but no one would help me. I mean, look, do you know how hard it is to have 3 kids without help? 2 of them were still in diapers. And baby daddy, that jerk, hadn't been around to help, so I did what I had to do. I was arrested for 8 counts of check deception and given 6 months. I lost my kids. They're in foster care now, but I am going to get them back. That's why I need this job. The court won't let me have my kids until I get some kind of job. So I'm doing what the judge told me to do. I don't want to go back to jail, and I want my kids back. I'm over messing around. You can count on that. So I'll be dependable and all that stuff. I just need a job, one with a decent salary and benefits. No one ever gives me anything, but I have had to go through a lot. I believe I deserve a job. You're not going to interview anyone who wants employment more than I do. If I don't get hired, it just wouldn't be fair.
According to your record, you were arrested for possessing and selling drugs. Could you explain?
Okay, well, first let me just start off by saying, I'm very sorry for what I did in my past, okay? That's not me no more, I got into that cocaine, that kind of business. It's an expensive habit, Cocaine's one hell of a drug, and I understand why a lot of people, when they look at crackhead people or cokeheads, they're like, man, those people, they ain't no good. They be stealing money or snatching purses and stuff like that. I'm not like that, but that's all I could do. So I'm not like that. I don't steal. So I had to sell drugs, try to survive out there, So it ain't like I went and sold cocaine to people that weren't addicts, I just sold it to people that needed it, that on demand stuff, That's all I did. I figured, hey, why not be me and make some money out of it instead of someone else, I didn't, I was just got money for day to day, pay the rent, take my girl out, nothing else, I wasn't hurting any innocent people. I was just giving it to people that were already addicted to it, the homeless or some other people, nothing, nobody special in particular, shoot, but hey, they wanted it. They kept telling me, man, give me a dime, give me a nickel. I just did them a favor. That's all. But I didn't even look for new business, like I was saying. I wasn't hurting nobody. The only thing it did is just hurt me. It hurt my reputation. That's all it did. I don't see why it's anybody else's business, but that's just how it is. But man, that legal system, I was arrested by what? I sold drugs to what, an undercover cop? Man, I got busted. I served what, 8 months out of 3 years? Cause I did good. That's why I got out. That's why I got out with parole, because I did good. So you got to keep that in mind. I don't want to go back to jail. So I'm staying clean right now. Since I've been out of the joint, the only thing I've done is just marijuana, just on the weekends. I don't do coke no more, man. I just marijuana every once in a while. I don't want to mess up, and when it comes to working customer service, from my previous experience, being out there and selling it to people, yeah, I'm good at customer service. I can make you money, man, selling stuff and whatever you need, man. So how about it, man?
On the application, you said you would discuss your criminal conviction during the interview. So tell me, what happened?
I made a mistake and I was convicted, but that was a few years ago. I paid for my mistake and I learned my lesson. But all of that is now water under the bridge. I can't change it, but as I said, I have paid for it and learned from it. It seems unfair that it should keep following me to ruin every opportunity I apply for. I've admitted my record at every interview. Being honest doesn't seem to make any difference. It happens over and over. I have an interview, explain my conviction, and that's the last I hear. I hope this interview will be different. Okay, I was involved in a relationship. Things got intense. We had a really big argument. She called the police. When they arrived at the apartment, I was the one they arrested. That's because she claimed that I hit her. but the bruises she showed them were from her own clumsiness. We were pushing one another and she tripped over her own feet. She fell down the stairs and blamed me for it. The case went to trial. I was terrified. I should have fought the charges, but I didn't have the money. So I took a plea bargain. I was convicted at criminal confinement and battery. I haven't had a problem with the law since. I just can't get any decent jobs. I'm not a violent person. I didn't really need the anger management counseling that the court required me pay for. But I have done everything required. My probation ended 2 years ago. All I need is a job to help me put this episode of my life behind me.
You have a couple of criminal convictions. Could you explain what happened and how your life has changed as a result?
Well, I knew this was going to come up. It's kind of a long story. I dropped out of high school because I got pregnant. I know it was a dumb thing to do. I know that now, but I didn't really like school, and I thought the baby's dad would take care of me and the baby. Well, he was 30. He was married, but I didn't find that out till later. And he just didn't want anything to do with me, a pregnant teenager. So he offered me some money, to like get an abortion, and like gave me $2,000 to get lost. And that really hurt a lot, but I should have turned him into the police. I was underage, so I know it would have gotten him into serious trouble, but I thought I loved him, so I didn't. Well, when my folks found out, they freaked, and they called me a tramp, and they kicked me out of the house. I didn't have no money, and I didn't have no place to live, so I took the guy's money, and I got the abortion, but after that, he didn't want to see me no more. Well, I got pretty depressed and alone, and the $2,000 didn't last long, so I went to this club, and they had a contest for amateur female dancers. And I won the contest and $500, and the owner even offered me a job. So I started making pretty good money, and on the side, I picked up even more money for providing special services, and so I was doing okay. But my problem started when I offered services to an undercover vice cop. He arrested me, and then I was convicted for prostitution. Well, I was put on probation, and then I was arrested again. This time I spent time in jail. Well, I'm out now, and I don't want to go back, and I really got to get this job. I need a job, and I got to get money to live, and that's hard for me to say, but it's honest. If I don't get this job, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I swear I'll be the best for you. I'll do the best job ever.
On the application, you mentioned some criminal convictions. Would you explain that?
I'm proud of some of the changes I've made in my life, but I'm not proud of some of the things I have to tell you in order to answer your question. I'm going to be honest about this chapter in my life. I was wrong, and I'm deeply sorry for what I did, but let me give you some background. I dropped out of school before graduation. I was young and stupid. I didn't like school, and I belonged to a group of friends who simply were not my friends. I got hooked on drugs, and I got pregnant. It was a disaster, but then I got lucky. I was actually picked up by the police along with some other teenagers. We had all been using drugs, so they arrested all of us. I'd been in juvenile hall before, but I was now an adult. I'm sure the judge had pulled up my police record already, and I was found guilty of possession and public intox. I now had felony and misdemeanor convictions on my record as an adult. The judge gave me a choice. If I agreed to go to a home for unwed mothers, enter rehab, and earn my GED, he'd suspend my jail time and put me on probation until I earned my GED. Or I could go to jail for 6 months. I took the judge's offer, and that opportunity saved my life and the life of my child. I realized that my life was heading for disaster, that I had already put my baby in jeopardy by using drugs. I needed and asked for help. I started counseling and began work on my GED. By my due date, I had successfully taken my GED test and gotten off probation. Moreover, the facility I was staying at helped me to find a good home for my baby, one that offered love and advantages that I couldn't. So I gave my baby a better life. After getting the GED, I enrolled in special clerical and customer service training program to upgrade my job skills. I completed the program successfully, and I have the certificates to prove it. I've also joined a church that knows my background, and they keep me accountable. In addition, I volunteer in a city youth program to mentor young people and encourage them to avoid the mistakes I've made. I need a job as much as anybody else, but a job for me means more than employment. It means the opportunity to show those who have helped me and have had faith in me that I've grown up and that I'm now a responsible adult. The bad choices I made nearly destroyed my life, and I would give anything to change them if I could, but I can't change what happened. What I can do is make responsible choices now and in the future, amend for the hurt I caused others, and encourage others to make better choices than I made when I was younger. A job is simply part of doing this. So let me prove to you that I at least deserve a chance. I've been training for the opportunity, and I'm a really quick learner. I'll meet any requirements you believe to be reasonable, and I won't disappoint you.
Now it's to you. What is your vote? Which applicant will you pick? Douglas Sloan? Melanie Polanski? Benita Washington? Ricardo Salado? Brian Ross? Jennifer Conley? Or Rita Bell? Just remember, whatever your choice, you, the employer, will be stuck with it. So choose carefully. And thank you for playing Explaining Criminal Convictions. Or not. This is your host, David Richardson, hoping that all of your convictions are simply misdemeanors. Goodbye.